And a very happy Friday to you at 12:09 in the West. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show. Broadcasting live from the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studios. And doesn't golf, gaming, and steak sound great right about now? Mr. Randy Wags at the sports desk in Culver City.
John, if it's a day ending in Y, you know California Attorney General Rob Bonta is going to be holding a press conference for some reason. And if Rob Bonta is going to hold a press conference, you know it's going to be filled with buckets full of cliches. Like this one.
And you can't fix the problem until you face the problem. And with your help, we're facing it. And I think that's something that is on our radar, has been on our radar, we're concerned about, and we will continue to lean into to provide solutions to.
This is the JV team that has gotten promoted to the top.
Every type of leadership is about meeting the moment and rising to the occasion. And this is what's required. And so we're stepping up and getting it done.
He is a rapid-fire machine gun of cliches.
Could you imagine being his communications person and having to go to stop after stop after stop? Because these politicians, they do 2, 3, 4, 5 events in a day. I'm sure every single one is exactly like that. And you're standing there with a clipboard and a pen waiting for him to exit the stage, and you know what's coming, and you just have to cringe and sit through it.
Well, what you end up doing with that clipboard is you start making hash marks every time he says a cliche, and you know exactly how stiff your drink's going to have to be after work.
Well, your pen's going to run out of ink. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. One of the problems that we've seen in the state of California associated with our spike in crime are crimes against motor vehicles. Yesterday, we had a bonker story about a car who purposely ran into another car on the freeway. The car pulls over to exchange insurance information, and then a pack of wild people, wild criminals, appear out of nowhere, and they rob the poor guy, and they rob the car.
Because that's how it is in Los Angeles.
But that's not the only place where cars get robbed. Cars get robbed when they're parked and no one's in them. And when your car gets robbed, the window is broken and they get inside your car and they steal whatever's in there, whether it be luggage, loose change, whatever the case may be. You call the cops. The cops aren't particularly interested in responding to it because there are so many of them. And it's not just because there are so many of them. Randy, the laws are written in a way that makes life very difficult on the cops to solve these crimes.
That's right. Something that I'm just finding out for the first time today, but apparently is well known among the criminal community that makes a living breaking into cars, is to successfully prosecute a car burglary. The prosecutors need to have testimony that proves the person who owned the car or rented the car knew it was locked.
Okay, what if you're a tourist and you live in Montana and you were on vacation in San Francisco and that happened to you? You'll have to fly back at your own expense to testify in a trial that might get delayed so that it can be proven that the door was in fact locked.
That's right. And if you can't do that or you won't do that, the case will most likely get dismissed, because even if there is the clear-cut evidence of someone smashed through a window, unless you have actual proof to the court that the person who owned or rented the car knew it was locked, you can't do anything.
Why would you smash the window if the car was unlocked? Wouldn't that just create a commotion that could, in theory, get you caught? Whereas if you just open up a door that is not locked, you're in and you're out, and I think most people would assume that you're the car's owner.
That's right, and apparently what the really crafty criminals do, after they smash through the window, they hit the unlock button on the inside of the car so it looks like the car was unlocked.
These people are one step ahead.
And this tells you just how crazy this situation is when the main champion who is trying to do something about this and has failed 3 times in a row is State Senator Scott Wiener, of all people.
He's the one that kills all the bills that would crack down on fentanyl dealers. and child sex traffickers and the like.
That's right. But when it comes to his bill that wants to do a very simple thing, that prosecutors do not need to prove that the car was locked in order to successfully go after car burglars, that has been killed in committee twice already and about to be for a third time.
This shows you how far gone the California state legislature is. They are now officially farther to the left than Scott Wiener.
Scott Wiener held a press conference on this very issue to drum up support for his third attempt of trying to get this on the floor of the California State Senate and the rest of the legislature to get signed by Gavin Newsom. But I am not optimistic that we're going to see this in 2024.
No, not at all.
But Scott Wiener, of course, he knows the right verbiage to use. The whole point of doing this is to hold people accountable.
For someone to come and visit here and have a rental car and then the car gets broken into it's just horrific. We do not want that to happen. That is not what San Francisco is about, and we want to make sure that people who are doing that, who are victimizing, whether residents or tourists, are held accountable.
Accountable. Accountability. That is the key word these days in California. And what you have to look out for is this. He could make it easier for them to get convicted, but if they don't add teeth to the sentencing, none of that matters.
If they still consider it a misdemeanor, or if they try to get you into a diversion program, or it's one of these cases because of AB 109, that even if Brooke Jenkins successfully gets them prison time because it's not a violent offense, they immediately get kicked down to the jails, and then the jail's overcrowded, and they get kicked out with time served. Well, then that's not doing anything.
No, Randy. That's accountability.
I'm sure it is. Here is Scott Wiener addressing what the current loophole in the law does. How this got into the law to begin with, I don't know, but I gots to find out.
And because of this requirement, there are clear cases where someone has broken into a car and committed the crime, but either it was a tourist with a rental car, and that tourist is now 3,000 miles away, and they're not going to come back to San Francisco to testify that they locked the car.
Actually, they're not coming back to San Francisco ever.
Well, because they don't want to get robbed again.
Or you might have a resident who simply doesn't remember whether they locked the car, or someone bashes out the window and then is savvy enough to unlock the door to the car and create ambiguity there.
How insane are the judges in San Francisco that when you have a clear case of a broken window in a car and that's how all the stuff got stolen, the judge has to ask, but how do you know the car was locked?
Listen, those judges are no crazier than the judges in Orange County or Riverside County or Los Angeles County because they're appointed by the same fool, Gavin Newsom.
Thanks for that, Gavin.
That is something we are mindful of.
Scott Wiener does admit, while this legislation sounds very common sense, he has already tried and failed twice to get this passed. It dies in committee every time.
So this is about a common sense measure to address a real public safety issue that has been plaguing San Francisco for a long time. And I did introduce this bill in, I believe, 2018 and 2019. And unfortunately, they did not pass. So hopefully...
How come he gave up in 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023?
He was afraid of catching COVID.
Third time is a charm, and we'll get it to the governor's desk, and I hope signed into law in 2024.
It's a good thing to know he's acting with urgency when we're in yet another record-breaking year for car break-ins in L.A., Oakland, and San Francisco.
And it's not like he's some backbencher either. He's the chairman of the Public Safety Committee.
Apparently he doesn't have any sway when he tries to put something that's even just a little bit tough on crime in front of that committee.
What about the mayor? Because London Breed can play it both ways. Sometimes she can be very compassionate for criminals, and other times she's sick of all the, well, you know what?
That's right. Sometimes you get this, London breed.
You don't have to do this.
You don't have to break into cars because there's plenty of jobs available. You can come work for the city. But sometimes you get this, London breed.
And less tolerant of all the bull that has destroyed our city.
That's my favorite London breed.
Which one did we get at the press conference?
Let's find out.
I want to also just really acknowledge the fact that we have an incredible San Francisco Police Department and officers who, despite many of these challenges, are on the ground every single day making arrests, especially with the bait car operation that Chief Scott talked about a little while ago, how it's having a significant impact. And I also want to acknowledge and thank our District Attorney, Brooke Jenkins, for the hard work that she's doing in order to hold people accountable.
Well, there's the word.
What is it? It's got to be A. Smith. It's got to be one consultant somewhere who tested that word, and the word sounds good to people who want criminals punished, and the word sounds good to people who want criminals to be able to rob whoever they want.
I mean, it's not just about money. It's about damn accountability.
Can't say prison, especially because it's not likely any of these car burglars will ever see prison.
Never, ever, never, ever, never, ever, never, even if they reopen Alcatraz.
Which is what that couple that got their car broken into from Indiana suggested they do. That was just last week.
Not going to happen, not even for the Birdman.
London Breed, who's the mayor of what used to be one of the biggest tourist destinations in the state of California, explains how horrible San Francisco can be for tourists.
Ultimately, we want to make sure that San Francisco is a safe city. But also we want to make sure that these crimes that impact the quality of life don't continue in the way that they have. Scott Wiener talked about a little bit about the residents and the challenges there, but can you imagine being a tourist going to a city and not only having the rent-a-car that you rented broken into, but having your passport stolen and having your trip delayed or disrupted in such a significant way, and then to return to the city that you came from and then to tell everyone about this bad experience that happened right here in San Francisco.
Don't go to San Francisco. That's what London Breed says.
I don't think you have to come here to say that to your friends. I think you just have to turn on the television and watch the news.
It is happening, though, on a daily basis because we play the raps. We see the reports from all the local stations up there. People that go to San Francisco or for some reason Oakland for tourism, they get their car broken into, and they tell their entire community, don't go to the Bay Area, don't go to California, don't spend your tourism dollars there.
Unless you're well insured.
London Breed wants to make sure that these people are not getting away with this anymore, because right now, apparently, they are.
We have had enough. We want to see change, and we need laws that don't make it easy for criminals to get away with these kinds of crimes. I want to appreciate Senator Scott.
I got to know. Who put this into law that you need to have such a high standard that even a broken window isn't evidence of a car break-in?
For this level of stupidity, Jerry Brown's fingerprints have to be all over it.
I want to appreciate Senator Scott Wiener for his advocacy and for his work on trying to deliver a common sense solution that will give our criminal justice system the tools they need in order to hold perpetrators of these crimes accountable.
Again. For the love of God.
All right, let's hear from probably the most common sense voice in the room at this press conference, the brand new district attorney in San Francisco, who, unlike the last two DAs, actually wants to go after criminals, as difficult as it is. We told you just a couple weeks ago how they successfully got one drug dealer convicted. She mentions how if she doesn't have a eyewitness statement of someone in the courtroom saying, I locked my car under oath, the case gets dismissed.
As Senator Wiener pointed out, my prosecutors could go into court today, even having an eyewitness to an auto burglary, even having video evidence of somebody committing an auto burglary, but without having an individual who owns the car or possesses the car say that they locked the doors, would be required to dismiss a case or see that case be dismissed by a judge.
What world are we living in?
You know what this is like? This is like showing up to court to fight a traffic ticket when you're guilty of sin and the cop doesn't show up.
It's happy day for you in that sense.
Oh, yeah. You just try to find out when the cop is on vacation. You schedule your court date for that particular day. Cop doesn't show up. Case dismissed. You walk free. I am okay with it working that way for traffic tickets, but not for car break-ins.
No, and the criminals who know about this, who've obviously known about this for years and years and years, this is why they specifically target rental cars. This is why they specifically target tourist areas where they know it's people from out of town. Because even if they get caught, the chances of that person coming back to court to testify against them are very unlikely.
Oh, could you imagine being a tourist and having your Hertz rental car broken into, and you're thinking to yourself, man, I went on this vacation doing everything right. I took OJ's advice on where to rent my car, and look what happened.
What's going on, America?
Brooke Jenkins addresses that this city is tough for tourists.
Prosecutors are doing everything that they can right now in San Francisco to bring accountability. But
oh, boy.
Not her, too.
But when you are talking about asking...
Even she can't say the P word.
You know what we need? We need one of those shot callers on every California politician. When they say the word accountable, they get zapped.
But when you are talking about asking, oftentimes tourists who live outside of this country to travel back after having such a traumatic thing happen in order to testify to something that for them seems so simple and honestly seems irrelevant given the window was broken to the car, it oftentimes is a real challenge in the courtroom. And it's a challenge to us being able to effectively prosecute a crime that we know plagues San Francisco.
California constantly is tying law enforcement's hands behind their back.
By a challenge, she means she can't win any convictions because of the stupid law.
And this is why she says accountability. Because she knows she cannot get anyone any prison time. When you can only successfully convict one drug dealer because the juries in San Francisco believe the sob story of I'm a victim of human trafficking, you can't say prison because you know it's not going to happen for almost anybody.
You could shoot for the stars, though.
Brooke Jenkins finally wants to let us know just how many car break-ins there have been this year in the city of San Francisco, which is not a large city.
I believe that the statistic at this point is in 2023 alone, we've had more than 15,000 reported auto burglaries. It is a crime that we must address in this city.
And that's reported. There are some people that give up and don't even call the police.
Yes, because we're essentially uninsurable as a state, so I'm not filing any kind of claim of any kind with my insurance company unless it's absolutely necessary.
And so I thank Senator Wiener for his leadership in this effort legislatively to assist prosecutors here with the ability and across the state with the ability to hold those who commit this type of crime accountable.
Again.
Okay, so this is the reality that we're living with. California state law essentially makes it impossible for the DA to convict anyone of breaking into a car unless the victim is willing to travel to court, waste their time, and testify to the fact that the door was in fact locked, which means you will be victimized again. First, you had the contents of your car stolen, then you had your time stolen. So here's what I would like to do right now at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If your car has been broken into in the state of California, what was the process like? Was it as much of a nightmare as they've described, where you call the cops don't want to do anything about it, your insurance company won't pay to repair the glass, maybe it rained, maybe the rain got in your car. I don't know what the circumstances were, but I'd love to hear it. If your car has been broken into in the state of California recently, I want to hear your story at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, the weekend is almost here. But even though we aren't going to be producing any live shows tomorrow or on Sunday, you can still listen to us if you want to.
That's right, because there's podcasts of this show, and there's so many different ways to get them. KABC.com, click on podcasts, go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes that way. You can download the brand new KABC app, search KABC AM in the Apple App Store or the Android Store. It's the best, most clutter-free way to listen live to this station over the stream when you're outside the AM radio signal area. And you can download all the podcasts right there, listen to them on your phone, listen to them on CarPlay. It is incredible. It's almost like a magic wand.
Not a day goes by where I don't wish I could just wave a magic wand and silence the gunfire.
And Randy, coming up next month, we're going on the road.
That's right. Come see Johnny and me live Friday, November 17th at the brand new Gelson's West LA at West Edge on the corner of Olympic and Bundy. The Gelson's West LA at West Edge opens Wednesday, November 1st. So get on down there. Take the day off. You got plenty of time to request it. It's 3 weeks from today, which is coming up real soon. We're going to be there from noon to 3 at the brand new Gelson's at their brand new expanded wine bar. It's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be a big blowout. Have some fun with us. Friday, November 17th at the Gelson's in West LA at West Edge.
We're taking your calls right now at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. There's a quirk in California state law that makes it virtually impossible for DAs to convict someone of breaking into a car unless the victim is willing to travel to court and testify that the door was in fact locked. Scott Wiener, the state senator from San Francisco, is trying to change that law, but his colleagues in the legislature kill it every time he brings it up. If your car has been broken into, I want to hear from you right now at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. What was it like? Did the cops show up? Did you witness the act happen? Did the insurance company pay for it? How big of a pain in the ass was it? I want your stories at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We're taking your calls right now at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. The state of California is refusing to remove hurdles that would make it easier to convict people for breaking into your car. I want to know, how much of a pain in the keister was it when your car was broken into? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's begin with Howard in Sherman Oaks. Howard, you're on KABC. Hello.
Yes, I don't know if this was just broken into, but I had the same car stolen twice. And the police told me it was probably from the same guy because he was a known criminal just stealing cars here in the San Fernando Valley. And just to get the guy prosecuted, I had to show up to court 4 different occasions because the case kept getting continued. So as my civic duty, I thought it was my job to at least get this guy off the street. And in 4 separate occasions when I showed up to court, the police told me I was really wasting my time because they were going to wind up pleading out this guy's case anyway.
And is that what eventually happened?
Well, the interesting thing was one of the times out of the 4 when I showed up to court, there was easily about 10 other victims there, which I just thought it was a busy day in the court. But, yeah, the last time I showed up to court, there was probably 10 other victims there, and we were all told that thank you for your service, but you guys can go home. And if you hear from us again, we'll let you know if this case is going to be continued. Never heard from it again. But, yes. And I actually talked to the police officer who processed the car the first time, and I had asked him, okay, well, do you guys need to get evidence off the car, fingerprints or anything? And I was real careful, using the car again. And after about 3 days, when I finally contacted the police department, they said, well, you need to make an appointment to go downtown to have the car processed. And I asked them, you can't make it easy on the victims to come out to where the car is. And they said, no, we don't have the manpower. You got to go downtown to get your car processed. So I asked him, is it even worth it? And he told me probably not. So I never even brought the car in to be processed for fingerprints.
In total, how much of your time was wasted due to these break-ins?
Well, just in court appearances alone, it was probably about 3 days or 4 days of work. And just getting my car back was probably the last time he totaled it through the front of a Chase Bank in Woodland Hills. So dealing with the towing company and the insurance company was easily about a month's worth of my time.
So you lost 4 days just for court alone. There were 10 other victims who were showing up. So that's 10 people times 4 days. That's 40 days of lost productivity because the state of California refuses to put these people in jail.
Yeah, and the cops straight out told me that this was a known criminal that was in the valley stealing cars, and there was basically nothing they can do to keep this guy off the street.
Welcome to George Gascon's L.A. Thank you so much for the call, sir. I appreciate it. Let's go to Shelby in downtown Los Angeles. Shelby, you're on KABC. Hello. Shelby, are you there?
Oh, hey.
Hi.
Oh, hi, John. Okay, downtown LA, both my windows were broken. Called the police. They called, and they said the officers are outside. Will you meet them? Of course. Go outside. They're in there, sitting together. The car is still running. And he said, what was stolen from your car? I said, 2 windows broken out, and loss was not great because I don't keep anything in there because it's downtown, maybe $3 cash or something. And the one driving said, call your insurance company, and he tore off.
So they did absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm. He literally burned rubber.
Oh, God.
Was there a cloud of smoke?
Little one, yeah.
God, that's awful.
I don't know if the $3 in loss is going to go towards your deductible.
No, it was just $500 out of my pocket that day.
What a mess. Thank you for the call.
Yep.
Let's go to Nancy in Santa Clarita. Nancy, you're on KABC. Welcome.
Nancy's gone. Try someone else.
Okay, let's go to Vic in Whittier. Vic, welcome.
Hi, John. How are you?
Good.
So my wife and I had to spend the night at my son's house. We're having some work done to our home, and our cars were both parked right in front of the house. The next morning, we realized that someone had gotten into both our cars. They stole my wife's purse, cell phone, laptop, a lot of stuff. And we're keeping our valuables in the car because of the work being done in our home. So my daughter has a tracker that she can find my wife's cell phone exactly and pinpoint it to where it is. So she logged in and she found her cell phone to be at an Arco gas station right near our house. We all jumped in the car. We drove there, and we saw a guy wearing a baseball cap in a old beat-up, SUV, and her phone showed the phone to be in his possession. So my daughter, brave that she is, she took a picture of the guy and took a picture of his license plate. And when he said, are you taking a picture of me? She said, no, I'm taking a picture of the building behind you. So we sat in the car. We called the police, let them know that we know who the thief is. So we have a phone that proves it. Well, the guy got out of his car. I think he realized that we were tracking the cell phone, and he gave the cell phone to the cashier in the Marco station, right? He leaves, and the police never showed up. So my daughter went inside the store because her phone showed that my wife's phone was still on the property. And she went inside and asked the cashier if he had a phone, and he goes, yeah. And my daughter showed a picture to the cashier. Is this the guy that gave you the phone? And he agreed. He said yes. So now we have a picture of the thief, picture of his license plate. Cops never showed up. We go home. We file a police report. They come up maybe 2 hours later. We showed them the picture. We verified the fact that the cashier said this guy left the cell phone there, but he has, the laptop, the purse, credit cards, et cetera, et cetera. And we gave them all the information they needed, and never heard from the police again. It just disappeared. So it was days and days of calling credit card companies and having to replace the computer. It was just a big waste of time. But it's just
was the thief an old man or a young guy?
No, he was probably in his 40s. Mid to late 40s, and he had an old baseball cap and an old beat up SUV, and he looked like the typical guy that would be a criminal. Just really dingy, and my daughter was brave enough to take the picture, and they said, well, you shouldn't have done that. Well, why should we have done it? He had our computer, he had our phone, he had credit cards, our license, took our house keys. We had to change all of our locks, all of our gate remotes, replace all the credit cards, a new $2,000 computer. It was just really annoying. And when you call the police a few days later, hey, we gave you the guy's license number, we gave you his picture, and we confirmed that it was him. They said, well, there's nothing we can do. We have to catch him in the act. I go, wonderful. So we just kind of wasted our time.
They don't care. They don't care. And also, if they stole the purse, that means they have the driver's license, which means they know where you live.
Exactly. Yeah, so I had to change all the locks in my entire house. I have electric gates. I had to change the remotes for that. And, my gun's loaded and cocked. I'm ready.
Oh, boy.
All right. Thanks for the call, sir. I appreciate it.
Now, John, I hope you appreciate the fact that in that story that Vic just told us, the cashier in that story was not a dummy.
If the cashier is dummy.
No, the cashier helped him find out who the perp was.
Didn't end up leading to anything, but at least the cashier gave her the phone back.
800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. The state of California refuses to remove an impediment that keeps prosecutors from convicting people who break into your cars. I want to hear your stories at 800-222-KABC. Let's begin with Nick and Duarte. Nick, you're on KABC. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, John?
Good.
So, my vehicle, multiple vehicles got broken into, called the police. They were a no-show, of course. I did see an officer driving by the following day. I was able to flag him down and tell him about the situation. He informed me that there were some homeless encampments nearby. He said he didn't believe in how the department and local government handled these things, so he decided to take me for a ride in his police car and down into the local encampment to see if I could spot anything that belonged to us.
And did you?
No, but he said if you saw anything that you liked, go ahead and take it. Yeah. I didn't want to get hepatitis, so I didn't touch anything. But he had said he didn't believe in the system and that he thought the only thing that we can do is a little vigilante justice. So I got some cameras. Fortunately, nobody else came back into our property to steal anything, but I was definitely ready for them.
Well, if the system won't protect you, people are going to take extra measures to protect themselves. Yesterday, we talked about that woman in Long Beach who was sexually assaulted in broad daylight. She's taking karate classes, buying a gun, bear spray, tasers. Other people are putting cameras all around the perimeter of their property. We shouldn't have to behave like this to protect ourselves. We pay a fortune in taxes. This is what our tax dollars are supposed to go for, to keep us safe. But, of course, they want to spend it on everything other than that. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Chris in Los Angeles. Chris, you're on KABC. Welcome.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
I'm a service advisor. I work for a a body shop, a collision, a big corporation, and everything. And you have no idea the amount of claims or the amount of cars that we get every week because they got broken into, like Kias, Hyundais, Toyota Prius, like, you name it, and every single car is getting broken into, and that's here in LA. Just here in LA, so. These people, what they don't understand is that, like they filed a claim with the insurance company. They have to pay a deductible and all that. So one time I picked this customer's vehicle, and I told him, like, he asked me, what can I do to stop this from happening again? And I said, like, well, first of all, next time you vote, make sure you're voting for the people, like. And second of all, you have to install like a cage so they don't steal your catalytic converter again. And he was like, well, sometimes people, I think they're doing it because they have to feed their family.
Oh, God.
Like,
he's part of the problem.
So I go like, well, I said, we'll see you again here then. Yeah, like, the deductible is $1,000 deductible. That's money that you're not going to get that back.
No, and his insurance rates are going to go through the roof.
But yeah, like people. Oh, there was like 3 months ago. I had another customer. He or she was doing like these food delivery things like Uber Eats and all that. So she was making a delivery, and when she came back, she said they smashed her windows just to steal the food that she was for her next delivery. So you gotta be careful what you leave in a car, what you leave inside the car.
Oh yeah, she didn't get 5 stars on that delivery.
They stole her taquitos.
Basically.
Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. Well, how often do we see the victim of a crime on television and they're upset that they were the victim of a crime, but instead of saying the person who did this to me needs to go to jail or I can't believe this was stolen from me, that person needs to go to prison, they say, well, maybe they were stealing to feed their family. I don't think they should go to prison, but I want them to knock it off. Well, guess what? They're not going to knock it off unless you teach them a lesson. And we have stopped teaching lessons. All we have is, quote unquote, accountability.
I mean, it's not just about money. It's about damn accountability.
2 more hours coming up on the John Phillips Show. The Fix California Hour is next. Don't you go anywhere. This is Talk Radio 790 KABC.
We often lead from the front, but it is time for us to lead from the back.